What is up, my friends? How are we? It is Monday. It is the late night agenda, and as always, it is a pleasure to be here with you guys. Lots for us to get through today, of course. And look, as always, you'll dictate where you want to go with the show. Any topics you want to discuss, feel free to throw them into the comments, which, by the way, are open to everybody once again. So if you are subscribed, that's the minimum requirement. Jump in and let us know your thoughts. So we'll talk today about Jamie Bino-Gittens. We'll talk about Alexis McAllister. We'll speak a little bit about Dean Huijsen. We're going to talk about XAVI SIMONS, of course, as well. And lots of other bits and pieces. And yeah, hope you're all in good form. So, right, let me just get everything ready to go. Hope you're good and well. I am, thank you, bro. I'm good. Yeah, good. Somebody said they renewed their membership as well, which I wanted to say thank you to Stephen. Thank you, mate. I noticed your message there to say you just renewed your membership. Absolutely much appreciated, my bro. Thank you. Right, my bro. That works, doesn't it? We'll slide. We'll let that one slide. That didn't happen. You seen nothing. So how are we all doing anyway? What about Hugo Ekitike? He, Stevie, in my opinion, is the numero uno target up top. I think he's the one we're going to push for, to be honest with you. Unless something happens. If I was to give you two names, I would say him and João Pedro would be the ones Liverpool would like. Now, Hugo Ekitike seems more affordable, but they're the two names that I would feel like Liverpool will be most in for. Unnamed journalist did mention links to XAVI SIMONS as well. So we'll be talking about that tonight. I think Unnamed Journalist was on Anfield Index when this one was mentioned. So we'll talk about how serious that interest may be. And yeah, lots more around that as well, to be honest with you. Sorry, my phone was starting to search for something there. Obviously, it thought I said the S-I-R-I word, which, you know, makes the phone jump into action. Right, let me just close down a few bits here. One sec, folks. No, there. Sweet. Right, we're good to go. I really don't like João Pedro, said Troy. I think João Pedro's a good footballer, Troy, but I don't think he's a £100 million footballer. And if that's the number that, you know, Brighton are looking at, well then I think we can safely say, nah, not happen. Why in God's name would McAllister want to join a bunch of no-marks? Well, it's interesting you mentioned that one, Tom. I'm going to discuss that in a bit more detail tonight. But yes, Real Madrid have been sniffing around Alexis McAllister. I don't think, as Liverpool fans, we have anything to worry about here for the here and now. But in a season or two, I don't know. Maybe. You know, we know Alexis McAllister's father has spoken the previous couple of weeks about his son maybe one day going there. And I think even Alexis himself mentioned December time that in the future, why not? But the future isn't here and now. And in the here and now, he's very much a Liverpool player. And if I'm Liverpool, I'm looking to extend him because he's brilliant. You know, absolutely pivotal part of that midfield. And also, and I can't emphasise this enough, I'm getting a bit fed up of Madrid, and I'm sure you guys are as well. I'm fed up of their shenanigans. K-Day said, hey Craig, good evening. Why don't you like João Pedro? Literally just said a minute ago that I like João Pedro, so I don't know if maybe we're in different universes here. I've no problem with João Pedro. I think he's a good player, but he's not a £100 million player, and I don't think anybody could really make the argument that he is worth £100 million, which is the asking price that Brighton are rumoured to be looking for. Just way too much money, my man, way too much money. Who are we going to get in the right back next season? Well, that's an interesting question that I'm going to be entirely honest with you and say, I don't know if there's a definitive number one choice there yet. Lots of talk around different variations of right backs that Liverpool have looked at. But I know this is going to sound really obvious when I say it. We still need Trent to make up his mind publicly and let everybody know what he's going to do. So Real Madrid only have to inform Liverpool when Trent has signed the deal. So up until that point, if he hasn't signed it, nobody's under any duty to tell Liverpool about it. So I can't believe we're at a situation where Trent hasn't told the club what he wants to do. But until then, I don't think we can start having the public conversations about the right back situation, other than Conor Bradley will be there next season. But there are names mentioned. You go from the range of Frimpong, you go from the range of Livramento, was loosely mentioned. You've got the guy Ratu, Araya Vallecano. You've got the guy from Freiburg who was mentioned as well. But I don't know who's the number one target there. Haven't got a clue. I'm not sure if they think we're a feeder club for the Madrid. Keep your hands off our players. Well, look, we know that Madrid don't like parting with a lot of money these days for players. And with all due respect, and I mean this sincerely, if I was to put a valuation on Alexis Mac Allister right now, 150 million. That's the minimum. That's how good I think he is. I know we didn't pay that for him, but that's because there was a clause in his Brighton deal. But £150 million easily. I mean, he has to be in the top 10 midfielders in the world. And I think you could maybe even argue higher than top 10. But he's definitely in there with the very best. And look, I don't think we're going to look to sell him. So, you know, I think we're calm in that situation around Alexis Mac Allister. Madrid can flutter their eyelashes all they want, but unless they pony up an obscene amount of money, Liverpool won't even entertain it. TOTT 2KZ1 said, wonder if we can get an injunction against Madrid saying they are not to sign or even talk about our players. 2 more wins to go, baby. Madrid don't do the talking directly themselves, and therein lies the problem. They always just leak these things to Madrid-friendly media or Madrid Extra on Twitter or all these other accounts. Do you know what gets me most, though, mate, about Madrid? It's that sense of entitlement. And you know how much entitlement winds me up. But that sense of entitlement that, well, we want them, so therefore he should want to come. And also, we're not going to pay big money for him because we're Real Madrid. Everybody should bend over and lube up because we're Real Madrid. And Michael Edwards and Liverpool don't strike me as the type of club these days that are going to put up with that nonsense. So, you know, we pulled Barcelona's pants down for the Felipe Coutinho money. And I think if ever Real Madrid come to the table for Mac Allister with a real offer, it's going to have to be a ridiculous sum of money. Sonny, I don't mean any hate by this, Craig, but I don't care any of the rumours now. I'm trying to enjoy a title-winning season. Again, no hate. So, I don't really know what you want me to do with that, Sonny. I mean, I'm not taking any offence from it. I know you at this point, sir. But I don't know what you want me to do with that super chat. You know, I can't really respond to it because it's my job to come on and talk about the news. It's my job to come on and talk about what might happen in the window. And look, like your good self, my friend, I want to celebrate the league title as well. And I certainly feel a lot more calm about it now that Virgil has signed up. But it would be remiss of me not to talk about these things because it's an important part of our channel. But again, if these type of streams aren't for you, my man, no problem with them. I don't know how to respond to the super chat other than that. Right, Matt Travis, how are we, bro? Said, hey Craig, thinking out 2 weeks we'll be champions. Worried Kitka is Darwin 2.0. Young, talented, but still unproven. I prefer Gyökeres or Cunha. So, honest question, Matt. How is Gyökeres more proven than Kitika? Because he hasn't scored goals at his high level. Yes, he's done it with Sweden. So I'll give you that one. But apart from that, he's done it with Coventry. And he's done it in the Portuguese league where Darwin was bagging goals for fun as well. So at least with Hugo, it is in one of the top 5 leagues in Europe that he's doing it at the minute with Eintracht Frankfurt. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong. And I'm not saying you haven't got a fair point with your concerns. But Gyökeres is older at 27, I think now. And also probably equally as unproven. But I do understand your point. Cunha is an interesting one. There's not seemed to be many really strong links for clubs with Matheus Cunha, other than a reminder that his release clause is there. So, but look, again, fair point, my man. Scout Stewart said, what would your dream squad be for next season? Oh, God. Look, when you say dream to me, my mind starts getting carried away, Stuart. But let's go realistic, right? What would my dream realistic squad be? I'm going to try my best to take you through it. And then I'm going to get to everybody else's comments as well. And then the news. So don't worry, folks. I've got loads to get through. So, in goal, let's go with the obvious, what we think is going to be Alisson and Mamardashvili. Right back, Connor Bradley and... who would I want? Livramento. If you want an option for me, Livramento. But the problem there would be that Tino Livramento would want to play, would be ridiculously expensive. So then you're looking at, do you take a chance on the guy from Flamenco, Wesley? Do you look at the guy from Rayo Vallecano? Do you go and get Frimpong? Although, will Frimpong want to do battle with Bradley? So I'm going to say Frimpong, because I like the difference that those two players on the right would give us. You've got Bradley, who's deeper, and then you've got Frimpong, who's more of a wing-back/winger. So, right back, Frimpong, Bradley. Centre-backs, this is where people are going to start getting angry at me. Don't mind getting rid of Kanade, and we'll get rid of Kwanzaa. So, I'd sell them two. I'd bring in Dean Huijsen, and I'd bring in Jarell Haddo. I'd keep Joe Gomez at the club, and obviously Virgil van Dijk. Left back, I would sell Costas. I would keep Andy Robertson and bring in Kirkes. In midfield, the three that are starting for us every week, no change there. Curtis Jones, keep him around. I wouldn't sell Harvey Elliott, but it looks like he may be sold. So if he's going to be sold, it's a matter of who do you bring in then to be that creative force. Do you look at the XAVI Simons? Do you look at Fermin Lopez from Barcelona? Or do you find somebody else kind of relatively unknown to us? So I do think we'll need one there. Interestingly, there's also a lot of conversation now, Stuart, about Endo's future and will Liverpool bring in another holding or deep-lying midfielder. So if we can get those situations sorted out, so let's say it was Elliott out, Endo out, I'd want a creative midfielder in and a deep-lying one, and I have no idea for the deep-lying one in all honesty. Looking across then to the attack, we have Mohamed Salah on the right, we have young Rio who's going to come through at some point. Then I would bring in... Again, I'm trying to be fair with my dream window or dream squad, because I know we're not going to get Isak. I know we're not going to get Julian Alvarez. So at this point, I'm okay with Cunha and Delap, Akitika and Delap. But you can see I'm kind of pushing the Delap angle here, right? Because I'd sell Jota and I'd sell Darwin. I'd keep Luis Diaz personally. I really don't understand this almost desire to move Diaz out of the club. Statistically, he's been playing really well lately. 2 years to go on his deal, not on a lot of money. Surely he'd prefer to stay at Liverpool and get a pay rise than move to Saudi. So, yeah, that would be pretty much it, my man. That would be roughly my dream squad. We need to tell Madrid to bug off, said Bruno. We need to bring in a new left back next season, said Ash. I can promise you, my friend, that is happening. You don't need to fear on that front. The left back will be brought in. Why sell Ibu? Contract situation. That's it. You know, I like Ibrahim Kanade. I do. But we're at a point now where he's coming into the last year and seemingly there's been no breakthrough. Fabrizio Romano mentioned that there was close to a deal a few months ago. Things have gone really quiet. PSG are starting to show an interest. So I don't want a situation where we have a whole season of worrying about whether we can convince Kanade to stay or not. It needs to be sorted out by the end of this season for me. So if Kanade signs a new deal, happy days. Keep him, bring in Huijsen, job done. But if he doesn't, and it's wrangling on, I feel we bite the bullet and sell him because I don't think he's irreplaceable. But again, I'm not trying to push him out the door. I love Ibu, but I am concerned by the contract situation. Stevie Boy said, have Mo and Verge been told there'll be summer incomings before they sign these contracts? Yes, they have. And the reason I feel I can say that to you, Stevie Boy, is from some of Virgil's words himself. And he's been speaking about it, and he said that, he was being told that it's going to be a busy summer. He's been told that people are working behind the scenes on it. So I would assume that, they've been given that indication. Now, another big reason why they both stayed, and particularly in Mo's case, is because he really likes Arne Slot. I mean, do you remember Rami Abbas Issa posting maybe a couple of months ago to talk about what a great job Arne Slot was doing, what a great coach he is? He seems to have won everybody over, including Salah, his representative, the players. So, I think... And most importantly as well, they both love the club, Virgil and Mo, and how great is that to see and hear? You know, these guys would have had so many options. They would have had their pick of clubs in world football. especially going on a free. And they both worked so hard to stay at Liverpool Football Club. And to me as a fan, that means so much. I take Delap as a second option. Have a speedy forward who can run in behind, said Mark Palmer. I like Cunha, but not sure he's a speedster. Understandable point, because one of my gripes with Diogo is that he can do a lot, but he hasn't got the pace. He hasn't got the physicality. He hasn't got the height. So I respect your opinion there on the Cunha situation. Delap, I think a lot of people are sleeping on, and I don't think, for me, 30 million quid for a homegrown player who's done it in the Premier League this year as a potential secondary striking option, I think that would be good business. I want to talk about Chiesa for a moment. 1 second. Actually, do you know what? I don't want to talk about Chiesa. I want to talk about agents' fees, because this was posted today and it's quite frankly disgusting. So Premier League clubs in the last 2 windows, so in the last 1 year, are you ready? You might need to sit down for this, genuinely. In the last 1 year, Premier League clubs have paid agents just a couple of quid shy of £410 million. Think about that. £410 million gone out of football and the Premier League to agents. That's sickening. Liverpool somehow managed to spend, where is it? £20,835,652 on agents in the last year. Now, what have we done in the last year? Well, we brought in Georgi Mamardashvili. We've obviously brought in Federico Chiesa. On top of that then, the agent's money must have been for Slot's agent, the backroom staff's agent. I don't know if Richard Hughes' agent got some money, but there was only 2 players who were brought in that time. And we've spent nearly £21 million on agents' fees. I have a serious gripe about agents taking money out of the game. It is ridiculous how much money these guys are making. This piece here says, while the FA does not list the specific individual fees paid to agents by Liverpool, it does list all of the transactions completed by the Reds. Chiesa is the only permanent transfer listed by the FA, but it was not the only transaction completed over the last 12 months. With Slot being appointed as the club's new head coach, the FA's report also states that Liverpool paid fees to the Dutchman's agent, Rafael Pimenta, as well as the representative of assistant manager Sipke Hulshoff. Due to the timing of the deal being announced, the report does not include the agreement with Mohamed Salah and his extension. That'll be included in next year's report, which will also cover the upcoming transfer window and January window in 2026. That's a lot of money going out of the game. The biggest spenders, by the way, were Manchester City in the last year, who spent a whopping £52 million on agents' fees. £52 million. That's sickening. I hate this, that football clubs spend money on agents like that. That's money that will make the cost of tickets go up, your shirts go up, food at the games go up. They're just leeches. It disgusts me. I'm sure agents do a good job for their clients, but I can't think of many other sports that pay agents. American sports, the agents are the player's responsibility. I hate that in football, the Premier League has seen £410 million fucking pound gone to agents for doing what? Their job? Right, anywho, let's get back into the chat. I want SIMONS to rotate with Szoboszlai. How much would he cost? About 70 million seems to be the talk on this. And let's have this conversation around Xavi Simons. So, unnamed journalist for Anfield Index. See, I'm doing what he's asking, by the way. You know what I mean? I'm being a good boy here. I'm not putting any names out there, so there's no need to no need for any of that. So unnamed agent or unnamed journalist speaking with Anfield Index, and by the way, shout out to our friends at Anfield Index. Xavi Simons is definitely a player Liverpool like. He's 100% on the radar. Whether that becomes something this summer depends a lot on competition around him and where the spots are that you can fit him up in the squad. But if it does not, there's a real possibility for that to happen, and I'm pretty sure he'll be high up on the list. They definitely like him. So, there you go. It makes sense to some extent. I mean, what makes me feel a bit calmer about this as well is Jurgen could have a little word here. So if Liverpool have any concerns, you know, I'm sure Arne Slot, Richard Hughes could have a word with Jurgen and at least get a bit of an understanding of the player. Now, I can see a world where Harvey Elliott gets sold and XAVI SIMONS gets brought in, but I also have to sit here and give you my opinion, which is that I'm not 100% sold on the idea of him. I'm not saying he's not worth it. I'm just not sure, personally. Especially if you're looking at 60, 70 million quid. Seems like a lot of money. DSB said, hasn't he got a bad attitude? There was a story that was written from, I don't know if it was a Leverkusen fans account or it was a German football account, but there was a story that said that he doesn't show up to some of the clubs' stuff, doesn't really mix or interact with the players, and is a little bit flaky. But, you know, again, don't know the man, so not really fair for me to sit here and say one way or the other. Right, I'm going to just give out a quick little warning to people. Our mods are trying their best and they're doing really well and they're timing people out. But if anybody spams as much as that Milaku guy, is no more timed out. Ban, bye-bye, adios. Because the chat's been opened up so we can give people a chance to comment and I can interact with them as much as possible. And look, I get it. If your comment doesn't get read out, give it a minute, try it again, no problem. But, you know, you can see there was, 7, 8, 9 comments in a second, and that's just been disruptive. So, mods, no more warnings for people like that. If you could be so kind, just boot them. Victor said, tickets you sell to see you, what is included? Well, there's no hand jobs, mate, if that... Jokes, Victor, jokes. I don't know what you mean by what is included. Do you want me to give you a rundown of the event? Or, so, I mean, there's two different answers to this one, Victor, and I'm going to take a minute to answer them because I really appreciate you inquiring, so bear with me, bro. So, right, the event you see on the left of this image on the screen, which is the title celebration party. So what's happening that day for that show on the last day of the season is the venue, Blackstock Market, which hosts the Hot Water Comedy Club. If you've never been to it before, the venue has a central communal area that has a stage there and it has 8 eateries around it. Loads of bars and loads of different bits and pieces. So that area is being opened up at about 11 a.m. and everybody's able to go in there for free. They're going to be showing the game on big screens and TVs around it. And I'm going to be doing some interviewing of a former player or so, on that stage in the communal area, which is in the centre of Blackstock Market. At 7:30, that's when the theatre opens at the venue, and that's when my live show will start, where I'll do my 90 minutes of interacting with everyone, talking about the season and stuff like that. So that's the Sunday show. The other show, and let me bring this back up for a sec, the one on the right-hand side that says Reunion, that's going to be our official Anfield Agenda end-of-season party, where myself, Connor, Chris, Jack and Steve will all be on stage together. Chris is interviewing me for the first time ever as well, so I'll be in the hot seat. We'll have audience participation, we'll have a bit of a sing-song, we'll have some fun, play some games, and again, have lots of interaction about the season. So I hope that covers it for you. The second show will be a longer one. That'll be about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours. The first one, which is just me, is going to be about 90 minutes. Both of them are priced at 20 quid, and both of them are all ages events. And if there's any other questions, my man, always happy to answer them. And thanks for your interest anyway. Appreciate you. And also, they're selling well. So thank you to everyone who's coming along. Right. This one from Aryan. How are you, bro? Said, Craig, do you think for Kelleher's good, he must go? look, I'm going to be selfish and say I want him to stay, but he will go. He's got 1 year left on his Liverpool contract, which means Liverpool either keep him for one more year, kind of against his will a bit, because I think he's getting itchy feet, and you let him go for free, or you listen to offers. And on that, it seems like there's been more interest, and today that interest comes from West Ham. A report in West Ham Fan Zone said that West Ham have made XAVI and Kelleher their top summer target, and they say they think 20 million might get Kelleher. Now look, I think somewhere between 20 and 30 million is probably more realistic. Chelsea have been interested as well. The number mentioned there was a lot higher, but I do think with 1 year to go, somewhere between 20 and 30 million is a realistic amount. So yeah, but he will go this summer. And I say that with a heavy heart, because I'm confused by bringing in Marmadashvili. You know, Kelleher, in my opinion, has earned the right to be the successor to Alisson. But, you know, I also understand entirely that he wants to go and play first team football. He's 25 years of age now. He's definitely proven himself to be good enough. And, you know, wherever he does go, I wish him the best as a number one, because he's a top lad. He's been a great servant to us. And, you know, it's not down to him that this is happening. What's my second choice sport? Boxing. Boxing, mate. Always been a massive boxing fan. Man like Spence said, I see Delap going Chelsea, so I'm not getting my hopes up. Maybe. Look, the one thing I would say though is, if you were representing Delap, would you be sending him to Chelsea, where they've gone through strikers like God knows what over the last 5-10 years, none of them really working, money spent left, right and centre. You're going in there, they've still got Broha, who is on loan, if my memory's right. They've got Nkunku, who's still there. So if I'm him, I'm not going there. If I'm Delap, I would avoid like the plague Manchester United and Chelsea, but just my opinion. Hugh, thank you, Hugh. Appreciate your super chat, my friend. Said, would you be happy a Huijsen, Simons, Ekitike and a right and left back? Would that be a good window? I think that's a very good window, Hugh. The only thing I would add into it is, if we lose a midfielder, so if we lost an Endo, if we lost an Elliott, or if by Cecic is sold or loaned out, then I would throw a midfielder into the mix. But I tell you what, mate, yeah, I'd be happy enough. Still have some uncertainties over Simon, but they're all very realistic names and very interesting ones as well. So thank you, Hugh. Ebad, thank you, mate, for your membership chat as well. 5 months with us, appreciate you. Said, I really hope we get a good few more years of Ali. Look, Alisson Becker's showed us again this weekend why he is, in my opinion, the best goalkeeper in world football. The saves that he makes are ridiculous. The one that he made to touch on Kudus' strike to the bar was ridiculous. The one-on-one save that he made second half, he just makes look ridiculously easy. The Mo Kudus shot that was flashed across the front of goal, he gets a good touch and pushes it away again. The man's ridiculous. He's just incredible. Best goalkeeper at Liverpool in my lifetime, and one of the best, if not the best, the Premier League has seen. You know, Petr Cech deserves recognition there as well. Courtois, great keeper. Peter Schmeichel, absolutely top notch. Edwin van der Sar as well. But, you know, Alisson Becker will be right up there. Craig, how's Harvey doing? He's good. He's actually out for a walk right now with Sabrina and Lucas, believe it or not, Irfan. So, do you see Harvey and Endo going? Asked Ash Byrne. Well, thank you for your question, Ash. I'm just trying to find the story here, my friend, that kind of covers both of them. Right. So, Chris Bascom has been quoted as saying, Arne Slot evidently sees Endo as a different profile of anchorman, so will be seeking more ball players to give him the option of rotating more often. How many he can add will depend on the future of Endo, and Elliott, and whether they're happy as substitutes. See, what makes me concerned about that is whether Elliott's happy as a substitute or not, I think should be irrelevant, because Arne Slot doesn't seem to want to play him. And what use is that to anybody, including Harvey, if Arnold's not going to give him a look in? So this summer, for me, should be a summer where we make definitive, quick decisions. We've had all year to look at them. Now we know. And if the manager doesn't rate Endo and doesn't rate Elliott, what you or I or anybody else thinks should be irrelevant. Because we can't carry space in our squad. We can't have a bench filled with players that when the chips are down, the manager doesn't feel that he can rely on to come on and make a difference. Now, would I sell Elliott? Absolutely not. Would you sell Elliott? I would imagine a lot of you know as well. But again, it's about making sure that when we talk about this squad at the end of the window, we're not talking about a deficiency in it or a wasted squad place. So, I guess an answer to the question, yes, I think Endo could potentially go. But it's who comes in, and I've got no idea in that question. No idea in the answer to that part. And by the way, I do think Arne Slot has been too stubborn in that regard to some extent. You know, whether he doesn't want Chiesa or Elliott, fair enough longer term. But I definitely do feel that we've missed opportunities to utilise them this season in games where we've needed somebody to come on and do something different. Now, he has given Elliott some chances, but Federico just frozen out completely. And it's frustrating as a fan, especially when your two centre-forward options in Diogo and Darwin just haven't been doing it. And you're forcing Luis Diaz inside then to play centrally. Just give Chiesa a go. Tony said, Kwanzaa and Elliott going, along with Trent and Kelleher. We need more homegrown players. What players would you do to boost the homegrown criteria? Really good question. Delap is one answer there. I'm trying to think about this. So Delap would be one. Centre back wise, well, there are options. You could try and force Levi Colwill out of Chelsea. Mark Gay would be another one. So, you know, keep an eye on his situation as well. We know that Newcastle tried to sign him. If my recollection of this is right, I think Mark Gay has one more year on his Palace contract. I assume he would count as homegrown, right? He would have come through the Palace Academy system or an English Academy system. So that could be one option. Trying to think of other ones. I'm trying to think other areas a bit. So Delap up top. Right back, well, Bradley will be coming through. Left back, Kirkes won't count as homegrown. So it's a good question, man, and I don't have all the answers to it, but I really do appreciate that you're certainly thinking about that aspect of things as well. Oh, Branthwaite would be great. Branthwaite would be great. Frimpong will count as homegrown if you're looking at right back as well, because then he come through Manchester City's academy. Anthony Gordon. I see Anthony Gordon shouts in the chat as well. Look, I'd love Branthwaite. I would. You know, there's talk that Everton want Ben Doak. I wouldn't say no. There's also talk that Everton are trying to beat us to the signing of Chris Rigg, by the way, from Sunderland. Craig, thoughts on Vinny Jr.'s 1 billion offer? Look, if it's real, and that 1 billion was on the table for, let's say, 4-year contract or whatever, I mean, I respect that he wants to stay and, you know, play in Europe and continue to win things. But, you know, £1 billion or £1 billion tax-free is £1 billion tax-free. And, you know, if I'm in his position, and I'm sure he's a wealthy man already, but £1 billion is £1 billion, I'm saying hello for 4 years to Saudi for that $1 billion. If it's me, really, I think I would. Because, you know, that's not just going to change my life, my grandkids' life, my kids' life. That would change, in his case, his whole village in Brazil's life. You're talking generational wealth. So, fair play to him if he's turned that down. But it's a lot of dough, isn't it? Everton said they'd rather sell Branthwaite overseas than to Liverpool. And you spoke to them personally, mate, did you? It doesn't really matter what Everton wants. If the player wants out... And look, I'm not saying he'll come to Liverpool, by the way. I've always thought we'll probably end up seeing him at United. But I don't like that this Liverpool and Everton just don't do any business, really. I know they have done, by the way, in the past. I know there's examples of it, but I don't get it. Like, let's say they want Ben Doak, as an example, and Liverpool have no intention of keeping Ben Doak and playing him. Why not take their money? You know, it's not like Ben Doak has been at Liverpool for 5 years and we've all, you know, fallen in love with him and backed him, and then it seems like a betrayal. It wouldn't feel like that at all. It would just be a case of, well, we couldn't bring him through and guarantee him the place, and the kid wants to play football, and maybe he likes the idea of staying in the city of Liverpool and going across to Everton. I wouldn't have any issues with it personally if it was right for both clubs and it wasn't weakening us. You see it in Italy all the time. Inter, AC Milan doing business. Actually, Scottish fans, does it happen with Rangers and Celtic at all? I don't really pay attention to Scottish football, so I don't know. Cal, Craig, I've gone into a deep breakdown of players in and out, and I've stuck it in the chat. 100 million net spend builds a world-beaten team. Your views? Well, I haven't seen it in the chat. I'll scroll back up, Cal, and see if I can find it, bro. Bear with me. Where's Cal's comment? Sorry, Cal, I'm still scrolling, my man. Can't find it, bro. Haven't seen it yet. But it's interesting you brought up the net spend part of it, right? Because people always hear me giving out about FSG, and rightly so. But a lot of the time, my where's the money stuff, it doesn't necessarily mean I want us to go out there and just throw 300 million in the bin. My idea is, yes, spend the money and spend big when you need to. But the example that I keep giving here is, let's look at the striker situation. If we sold Jota and Darwin for, let's say, 60 and 40, so that brings you in 100 million. And if you reinvest that 100 million in two players who are going to improve the team and are going to improve the age profile of it, and you haven't necessarily had to throw a load of dough on top of it, I've no issue with that. None whatsoever. As long as that money then is available in another position. So we don't have to hear, well, the left back's 50 million and we can't spend 50 million. So I'm not just about sitting here going, I want a net spend of 200 million. I want to look at the squad, feel like every area that needed attention was upgraded. And if that's done, and it's done for 100 million or 20 million, I really don't care. As long as I feel like they've addressed what we think needs to be addressed and improved what we think needs to be improved. That's probably the fairest I can be about it. Doué from PSG reminds me of Salah. That'd be great, said Hugh. Oh, Hugh, you can forget about it. He's not leaving PSG. What a talent that young man is, by the way. But yeah, he won't be going from PSG anytime soon. An incredibly gifted young player. Aaron said, if we win, the league at home against Spurs, how do you think Arne Slot manages the squad? Play some youth players, bench players, or keep the status quo? So the shithouse answer for me here, Aaron, is and put everyone in the shop window. So anybody who you think that you're going to move on, give them the minutes then. Put them in the shop window. But the real shithouse part of me would be Trent doesn't get near the team. And I know that sounds really harsh. And people feel free to disagree with me. Sorry, Aaron, bring it back. Feel free to disagree with me. But for me now, I'm losing all patience with Trent. You know, we don't know what he wants to do. But yeah, everybody else seems to know what he's going to do. And for me, I don't want him near the team. When he gets back fit, the league will have been won at that point by the time he's fit at the end of this month. So the league will be in the bag. Keep playing Bradley and play Kwanzaa. Or give anybody minutes. I don't care. But I don't want to see his behaviour rewarded. Because I think it's disgusting. And I think it's disgusting because not just the fact he's leaving Liverpool for free. It's that he doesn't think enough of the people that supported him over the last 20 years to front up and talk about it honestly. And nothing annoys me more than cowards and cowardice. and not fronting up to a situation that everybody knows about and that you profess you're keeping quiet about out of respect for the club, that ship has sailed. The respect nonsense has sailed. That's there if you are actually sincerely negotiating behind the scenes to stay. But when you're giving it this, like I keep saying, to camera, and everybody and their dog in the city of Liverpool seems to believe you're off, fuck them. I don't care. It does my head in. And where's the respect? Where's the common decency to explain the situation? You know, let's see if he ends up skulking out the door when the season's over. And let's see if the announcement's done then. Because it wouldn't surprise me. Because the whole way through this, that's the way I feel this is going. But again, that's just one of my opinions. I'm not saying that that's how everybody has to feel. Again, I want to be captain. Winning trophies at this club means more. Where's all that gone? Did you get a new camera, Craig? Nope, same camera. Just I tweaked some of the settings a bit more again. But yeah, same camera. How to ruin a reputation 101. Exactly. I'd love to know who's advising them to do this, by the way. Because it's the height of stupidity. So whoever that team is in and around him that's advising him to stay quiet and do this, they're only making it worse. Sincerely, they're making it worse. What are your expectations for next season? Thank you for that one, Dermot. My expectations are to try and defend this title and to go into the season feeling confident that we can really defend it. Now, to be fair, I think keeping Mo and Virgil, that gives me a great boost. That makes me feel excited for next season. You know, I was really nervous the whole way through the protracted contractual situation. But now that we know they're staying, man, I feel so relaxed. And I'm looking forward to the summer now. You know, I'm optimistic. I'm doubtful about the owners doing the proper backing, but I'm optimistic because Arna's had a long time to assess. Loads of stuff about it being a big summer. It's a busy summer. And what could have been a summer that needed 7 or 8 signings and a new centre-back and a new talisman becomes a far more achievable summer transfer window. So yeah, I'm excited about it. Tony said, I won't boo Trent, but I won't clap him either. I understand he wants to go to Madrid. Yeah, look, I'd be in that scenario as well, mate. I wouldn't boo him. I wouldn't be applauding him. I just wouldn't be fussed with him. That's kind of where I'm at with it as well, Tony. You know, I certainly wouldn't be looking to go on social media and start calling him out or slagging him off in a tweet or anything. But yeah, I feel I can only speak for me. And as a fan, I feel like he's kind of snubbed everybody a bit. Do you see any world we let Macca go this summer? We'd basically be throwing Project Slot under the bus. I doubt it, mate. I really, really doubt it. And Alexis doesn't seem to me like the type of man he would be kicking up a fuss either. You know, himself and his family, they seem really respectful. They seem really good people. And, you know, if he's open and honest and said, look, later in my career at some point, maybe. But it will be at a time where it works for everybody. And right now, Alexis, is, as you've said, is pivotal to what we're doing and what Arna's building. And I love the lad. I absolutely love him. He's such a good footballer. And I would think if it ever got to the stage where he does get sold, I can only imagine it would be for an obscenely high amount of money. But I don't think we should be concerning ourselves with that for a couple of seasons yet. If ever. You know, I hope Alexis feels like he can achieve everything he wants to achieve here at Liverpool. He's already a World Cup winner, about to become a Premier League winner. I'm sure he'd love to lift the Champions League as well, and we'd all love to see him do it. He's just such a humble, respectful guy. I have nothing but admiration for Alexis Mac Allister. FSG will take all the credit for winning the title. Well, let's be honest, Carl. They deserve some of the credit. You know, them and the recruitment team brought in the coach. So, look, I don't think they expected us to win this title. And I don't think that the master plan was to spend no money and win a title. But if we go back, and again, these are the times I tried to be fair and not just be a hater. If we go back around the time where he was being recruited, we did hear a lot about the fact that Arne Slot was, and his injury prevention was a big part of why he appealed. Arne Slot and being able to kind of punch above his weight in a league where he wasn't at the most wealthy club. You know, these are things that were taken into consideration when they brought him in, and it's worked. So, you know, I'll always give credit where I feel it's due, and the recruitment team did a very good job of finding the right manager. You know, coming in after Jurgen, you've seen this everywhere. The amount of people who were saying this is a hiding to nothing. You're coming in to fail. The next manager doesn't really matter because you're bound to fail after Jurgen Klopp coming in because it's such a big gap to fill. And from day one, Arne's come in and done his own thing. Oozed confidence, oozed charisma, oozed knowledge. So, man, yeah, look, credit where it's due. But if they don't spend the money, then they're shafting them. So let's wait and see on that one. The assistants and the referee, by the way, thank you, Mark, for sending this on, for the Leicester game have been confirmed. Referee, Stuart Atwell. Assistants, Konstantin Hadzidakis, Natalie Aspinall. Fourth official, Thomas Bramall. VAR, Michael Salisbury. Assistant VAR, Wade Smith. So, yeah, there's the officials for the game against Leicester on Sunday. 4:30 kickoff on this one, by the way. Right, let me get through some of my notes now, because I've a load to get through here for you. Right, let's start off with Jonathan David. Let's talk about him for a second. So, The Athletic have said West Ham have held positive talks with the representatives of Jonathan David over a free transfer from Lille. Should be on Sky. It will be on Sky. The 4:30 kickoff will be on Sky. But yes, Jonathan David and his representatives held talks with West Ham over a potential move. Now, West Ham obviously need a centre forward. They have Evan Ferguson on loan at the minute, and again, we wish Mikel Antonio a full and speedy recovery from his car crash. It was great to see him at the London Stadium already. So let's wait and see what happens there. On Hugo Ekitike, Anfield Watch have said Liverpool's interest in the Eintracht Frankfurt striker has become more concrete because of Newcastle's reluctance to sell Alexander Isak. So there you go. I feel, at the moment anyway, Hugo would be the front runner of the forwards we've been linked with. But I also would say to you guys, we've seen a time where all these names are thrown about and then Liverpool go in a completely different direction, and then we all go, oh, didn't think that. So Hugo still 60 million. Yes, I believe so. Look, that's still going to see them have a very, very tidy profit from the, I can't remember if it was 13, 16 or 18 million that they paid Paris Saint-Germain in euro for Hugo. But yeah, about 60 million seems to be the number. At least the number I've seen mentioned. Luis Diaz. So TalkSport have said that Saudi Arabian club Al Nassr are eyeing a move for Liverpool's Luis Diaz as an alternative to Real Madrid forward Vinicius Jr. So, what do you think we'd get if we were to sell Luis Diaz this summer? Now, to reiterate, I still wouldn't sell him. I like Luis Diaz. I don't understand the situation of seemingly wanting this to get Diaz out of the club. I don't get it. He's done really well in the last few games in particular. He's on a relatively low fee. Or wage, excuse me. So I'd sell Jota and Darwin and keep him personally. But You know, what would we get for him? 28 years of age, 2 years to go on his Liverpool contract, and it would be going to, in this piece, Saudi anyway. So, Steve said 80 million to Saudi, 80 million as well for Alan Davidson, at least 120 million, said Mukrab, 60 million plus, said Damien. Adam Reynolds, 75. Ian Greenstreet, 60 million. Not good enough goal output. Well, he's had 5 goal contributions in the last 5 games, but he did have a big long drought before that, my man. So I do understand where you're coming from, Phil. Diaz goes, Leao comes in. If you're talking about output, his output isn't anywhere near enough to be justifying the type of money there for Rafa Leao. How much will Victor Osimhen be? Don't know, Ash, but seemingly Napoli are very open to doing a deal and selling Victor Osimhen. And that's why when we go back to our friend earlier on who was talking about seeing Delap there, I would have thought that Osimhen would have been far more up Chelsea Street than Aleem Delap. Is Chris Rigg any good? He's at Sunderland. He's the latest to be linked with us. Chris Rigg, Tony, is a name that I can, and I don't think any journalist, even unnamed journalist, would push back on this. He's a name that has been linked with Liverpool for a very long time. He's been a talent that's been known about in the game ever since he started coming through at a young age. Everton are now also looking at him, but Chris Rigg is a very, very talented young man that does have a big career ahead of him. Now, of course, talent doesn't always lead to genuine 100% immediate success, but he's a name that every football club scouting department would have on their list at this point. The Liverpool Prophet said, Craig, I'm feeling really good. I'm seeing everywhere we're going to have a big window. Yeah, it's been a really consistent theme, in all honesty, going through a lot of publications, podcasts, articles, a lot of talk, even from Virgil, that it's going to be a big one. And I'm excited by that too. David said, poll, Craig, keep or sell Diaz. Your wish is my command, sir. Let me just get that poll ready. I'm going to go a little bit differently to make it easier for me. So, right, so just a simple one. Should we sell Diaz? Yay or nay? Alan, that is a lovely question, my friend. Alan Thomas said, Craig, whose mural would you like to see around the streets of Anfield? Oh, wow. Alisson? Unless there's one there that I already forgotten about. Who else is what I like to see? Robbo. I think Robbo will have earned one as well. What a servant he's been to the club. You know, you can talk about the 10 years Joe's been here as well, which is significant. Sadio, you know, I know he's gone now, but what a big part of the club he was. Klopp Owen's already there. There's already Klopp Owens. But yeah, Alisson and Robbo would probably be two that I would think of immediately. Also, I think Joe Gomez's service to the club deserved that recognition as well. Dylan, how are you? Dylan Karan said, Craig, do you think XAVI SIMONS would be good for us? I'm really torn on it, mate. A lot of people say, yeah, like Didi Hamann as an example. Didi Hamann did a piece, or was quoted a few weeks back, saying that he thinks Liverpool and XAVI SIMONS would be a fantastic fit. Others think that he's not worth the hassle. I don't know. Sometimes I watch him, like for instance, at the weekend, I seen the highlights of, I think Leipzig won 3-2 against, I want to say Werder Bremen, but he scored 2 goals in that and 2 very good goals, and you looked and you went, wow, talent. I've seen some goals for the Netherlands and thought, wow, talent. And then other times I've seen him and he just looked out of sorts. So I'm probably not the best one to give you the answer on it, but I'd understand it if he came to the club. I'd understand why. What do I think about Benjamin Sesko, said Ash. I think he's a brilliant footballer. And I think I could see why anybody would take a punt on him. Always felt Arsenal were the ones doing the most work in the background. But I like Sesko. And again, I think he'd be a great addition to the Premier League. You'd have to say, would he ever be prolific enough? And I don't know. But good player. And definitely will move this summer, according to a lot of reports in Germany. Where to, I don't know. But lots of reports in Germany saying he's going to move. Do you think Trent's mural will be removed? I wouldn't even know how to answer that, in all honesty. I mean, it would depend on where, the property owner. It would depend on how the people I've always tried to be honest about this and say I have my feelings about Trent, but I'm not a Scouser. And I know this will be a more intense feeling for Scousers, and rightly so, because he's one of their own. So I don't know how to answer that one, mate. I will always say that he was a part of a successful time at the club, and that deserves to be recognised. But I'll also say that I feel I'd be understanding if people feel like that same love and admiration as one of our own maybe is dissipated away. But it's a question I think Scousers have the right to answer, and not really me. Can we talk about Rory McIlroy for a little second? Oh, wow. I'm not a golf fan, right? I'm not. But I was glued to it last night. Particularly right towards the end as well. And when Justin Rose had levelled up and Rory missed the putt at the end of the regulation, I thought, uh-oh. But I was so happy for him when he did it. Like, to be the sixth man in history to complete the Grand Slam, a remarkable achievement. And the amount of people who were just fixated by it last night, it was really good viewing. Would you take Paqueta if the disciplinary case found in his favour? What age is Paqueta? Man City were very close to having a deal agreed for him, only for, they needed that situation to be resolved, and they've, I think, moved on to other targets. But I don't know how old Paqueta is. And also, I think cost-wise, you're still talking stupid money, like 85 million quid. Mary said I was so happy for Rory. 27, too old. Too old to be spending that type of money on, for me. I'd want somebody coming into Liverpool 23, 24 that we can have for the next 5 or 6 years. So yeah, I think 27, 28 in August. No, great player, Paqueta, no denying that, but not worth that type of money at that age for me. Thought it was over when Rory missed the putt, said Nathan. So did I. Honestly, mate, I did. So the way he was able to compose himself, I thought it was brilliant. Craig, as Arsenal fans, we feel Sesko will be long term and will have to grow into a bit. We need a striker who will start banging in straight away. Understandable, Val. And I think Gyökeres could be worth a punt at Arsenal for that reason that you've said, but I still think it's a bit of a risk. Sesko, to me, Val, Sesko feels like the signing you should have held off to make when you went and you signed Kai Havertz. I feel like you should have waited for Sesko before signing Kai Havertz. Would you get Haddo from Ajax? Yes. Again, very realistic option. So that's why I said earlier on, for me, we could see us lose two centre-backs this summer. Like, whatever happens, I get the feeling there's a chance Kwanzaa could go this summer. Like, a serious chance. And then Canade's situation is going to come down to his contract. So if they were to both leave, then I'd say, you look at maybe a Mark Gay and a Huijsen, or a Hatto and a Huijsen. You know, many options there, but still up in the air. And genuinely, my gut feeling is that Arne Slot isn't convinced by Jarell Quansah. Tanya said Arsenal, Gyökeres, United, Cunha, Liverpool, Ekitike and Delap, Chelsea, Osimhen, Forest, Seshko. Well, it depends. It might depend if Forest get Champions League football. You know, they're having a wobble there. Did not expect them to lose to Everton this weekend. So, do we have many Scousers in the chat? Can I ask any Scousers that are in the chat what your opinion is of a potential Trent departure? Because as I keep saying, I can only talk about it from a fan perspective. I don't have the connection. He's not one of my own. You know what I mean? I'm not a Scouse, so if anyone's Scouse in the chat, let me know how you guys feel. Like, I mean, we talked about Paddy Pimlet's thoughts on this the other day, and again, I can understand it. Christ Child said, Canade, 200k per week. No, thanks. I'm the same. You know, want him to stay, like him, but don't think he's worth £200,000 a week. Because the question then becomes, if Canade's worth £200,000 a week now, well, what's he going to be in 2 years when he wants another renewal? And we start negotiating again? Are we going up to 300? Like, I look at it and think of the comparables in our squad. And Virgil van Dijk, I think, is about 220 before his new deal. Maybe 2 to 220. And he's the best defender in the Premier League. So, just because other clubs piss money up against the wall on overpaid centre-backs or players, I don't think we have to fall into that trap. So for me, Canade on about 80 grand absolutely deserves a pay bump, and a significant one. But not to the tune of £200,000. It's just too much. Caroline said, do you think Trent will be booed? No. I don't. Booing isn't... It's not something Scousers I've seen do. And it's not something really done much at Anfield. You know, silence or ignoring would be what I would think of, but I would not expect booing. Bobby said he'll become a trader, going to a huge rival. Woolly back 15 miles away. Think the kid should be honest, said Boeing Zabadi. Thank you, mate. Christchild said too much money. Yep, I agree. That was on Canade. How much do you think Trent will make? I have a feeling, right, that when Trent departs, and I said this on a couple of streams, we're going to see a story within 2 weeks that said he wanted Madrid so much that he turned down a lot more money on offer from Liverpool to come to Madrid for less. If I'm wrong about this, I'll hold my hands up. But I'm telling you, I would bet, I'd bet 50 quid, 100 quid that we will see that story within 2 weeks to a month of him going to Madrid. That it was only ever Madrid. It didn't matter what Liverpool offered. That he was taking less money to come over. You even seen the Fabrizio Romano piece where he said that as soon as he was told by Madrid to agree to these terms or do one, that he agreed immediately. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to see. We'll hear that Liverpool were willing to offer him, let's say, 300, and he'll go to Real Madrid and he'll be on a lot less. Something like 220 or something. Watch. That's my guess. Logan said, your price tag for Maka, there isn't one right now. But if you want me to value him, 150 million. And I'm not trying to be a smart ass saying that. I think genuinely Alexis McAllister is one of the best midfielders. And if you're telling me Enzo Fernandez and Moise Caicedo are 100 plus million midfield players, then I'm saying Alexis McAllister is worth more money, because that's how good I think he is. Did I bring up Rory's one? Sorry, I hate missing people's chats. Rory, you didn't put in a comment on this one, my friend, but again, I appreciate you. Thank you, sir. David said, as a Scouser, just annoyed he hasn't said anything. Yeah, as a fan, I echo that sentiment. I'm really annoyed, David, that he hasn't said anything. especially for a club. Like, look at this, right? Imagine I'm here, right, as a Liverpool YouTuber, right? And I'm not a player, of course. I know you might look at me and think pro athlete. Understandable. But look, I'm a YouTuber who supports Liverpool. If I seen Liverpool getting rinsed in the media by other fans or other clubs or and I didn't defend it, I'd feel like an asshole. And I'm just a fan. You know, I hadn't had the pleasure of playing and growing up in the city and coming through the academy for 20 years, and I'd be defensive of it. So I cannot for the life of me understand all these stories that are out there in the media that are making it look like Liverpool are basically being played for fools by Madrid and no pushback on it. That angers me because you profess to love something and you don't want to defend it in any way. Wesley said, I could see us losing 3 centre-backs, Gomez, Konza and Canade, replacing with Huijsen, Hato and some third, maybe Gay. It is possible. Now, do I think we lose all 3? Maybe not, Wesley, but you could make a valid argument for any 3 of those. So for me, in a best case scenario, you extend Canade for reasonable money, you sell Kwanzaa, and if Joe Gomez wants to move on to further his career and get more minutes, you know, you do that out of respect for Joe and the fact that he's been a great servant to the club. But I'm just not convinced by Kwanzaa. I'm not saying he's terrible, because he isn't. But I don't know if he's ever going to be assured, is probably the word I'd use, enough to be a leader in that defence. Now look, he is still young. So, you know, fair dues for breaking through and playing it all. But I'm not convinced by him. What about Sandro Tonali from Newcastle? Again, not going to happen. Newcastle aren't going to be selling off players this summer. Tonali's just come back, obviously. Newcastle stuck with him as well through that whole betting process and scandal. So, you know, he owes them a bit of loyalty. And he is a cracking player, though. No denying that. Showing no backbone over contracts, many years allowing these things to happen, said Bobby. Yeah, I think the club have been too respectful in that regard with Trent on the contracts, mate. You know, we've seen it written that journalists weren't even allowed to ask about the Trent contract situation. So the club have seemingly tried to protect Trent as much as possible, which is understandable. You know, the club are known for looking out for Liverpool players, past and present. Would I like them to be a bit more of a shithouse in it? Yeah, I would. Especially when somebody I feel is doing the club dirty. But, you know, I can't get angry at the club for being respectful and professional over it, as much as I would be different as a human being. Rowan said, Craig, looking forward to us lifting this title. It's long overdue. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Rowan. And I am, like your good self, mate, absolutely buzzing over it. So Virgil van Dijk, Lewis Steele put out a quote from Virgil, said, I think they're planning to make it a big summer. So we all have to trust the board as a Liverpool connected fan to do the right job. And hopefully the club will be challenging for titles for the next 2 seasons as well. I think we can 100% improve. I think we shouldn't forget the quality that the Premier League possesses, especially this season, in my opinion. It's incredible how everyone can beat everyone. I agree with everything Virgil said, and I also found it very funny that he said, also, I hope the club will be challenging for the titles for the next 2 seasons as well. That's obviously a little nod to his 2-year contract extension. But he's right. This is why I love the Premier League so much. It is a league where on any day, anyone can beat anyone. And that's why I hate anyone trying to undermine our credentials as champions this year. Because everybody plays everyone twice. It ain't our problem if anybody else is inconsistent. But the Premier League has shown that on any day, any team can beat anyone. We were beaten by Fulham. We were beaten by Forest. So, yeah, it's an incredibly good league, and I think it's why it's the best league in the world. Right, a bit here from Fabrizio Romano on Dean Huijsen. Does anybody think Romano twerks for Real Madrid too much? Because I do. He's bringing up a story here about Huijsen and Madrid, and I'll tell you why it annoyed me when I read it out. So he said Dean Huijsen would be very keen to join Real Madrid, but they've not yet decided whether they'll go for a centre-back, so the player won't wait for them forever. Premier League clubs are pushing. Huijsen will explore all of his options in the coming weeks. Why even bring Real Madrid into the conversation? If Madrid aren't sure what they're going to do, then fuck them. I don't understand why he twerks for them like that. Like, that's like me saying Craig Houlden is very keen to have an affair with Mila Kunis. But Mila Kunis hasn't decided yet whether she's open to having an affair. But Craig won't wait forever. You know, it's just nonsense. How do I pronounce this? Your name? Best attempt. Said non-Scouser here. Can't understand why a born Scouser would want to leave Liverpool. Trent should always be respected for the past success, but I don't blame fans if they decide to boo him. I agree. I think he should be respected and acknowledged for the success he was part of here at the club. But I wonder, and again, I'm thinking out loud here, if Trent was going, let's say, so again, I guess I'm asking this question to the Scousers in the chat, and maybe if this is clipped and put on social media, any Scousers, I'd love your opinion on this. Would the Trent situation feel a bit different if Liverpool were getting 80 million quid? Like, is it the fact that Trent is leaving? Or is it the fact that he's leaving to go for free? Or is it the both of them and the fact that it's Real Madrid? I'm trying to understand, because I can give you my take if I was in your position, but obviously I'm not. So yeah, let me know on that one. Is it that he's going, or is it that he's going for free, or is it both and the fact he's going to Madrid? Because for me, my part of it is, it's the free part. It's the part that you are doing your club dirty and not getting them a fee and leaving them in the lurch, played games over the last 18 months about your contract, and you're waltzing out the door for free. And on top of that, knowing that Madrid wouldn't pay a fee for you, that they couldn't be arsed trying to spend 75 million quid for you 2 years ago, whatever, that they only want you because he can get you for free. All of that combined is why it annoys me. Rory said, hello Craig, do great work, best ever Liverpool channel out there, very informative and honest football opinion. Thank you. Look, I'm the conduit between your great opinions and the chat. That's the way I look at it, man. I don't have any specific set of talents or skills. I love my football club, I love my footy, but I love my community as well. And how I ended up here with you guys on this channel and being as well supported as I am, I think you're all lunatics. But thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm going to keep blagging it until the wheels fall off, mate, because I've never understood all of this. Yeah, I don't know why people tune in, don't know why you comment, don't know why you subscribe, don't know why you come to the live shows, don't know it, don't understand it, but by God I appreciate it. Flip-flops. I'm feeling optimistic for the summer. With all the positivity at the minute now, and the contracts are done, it's just amazing to be a Liverpool fan right now. Yes, sir. It's great. It is great. And thank you for, bringing up the positivity again, because I feel like now, for the first time, I can enjoy the rest of the season, because I don't have that fear of the squad, the spine of the team being ripped apart. So yeah, man, I agree. And let's enjoy the remainder of these games, and let's celebrate. And I hope the players can do that as well, right? I hope that the nervousness now dissipates. So there was no denying yesterday that when we were 1-0 up and West Ham started to play into it a bit, you can feel the nervousness. Now I hope that everybody can just enjoy it and play with a swagger and go out there and show why we're Premier League champions. Leicester City, and then the potential to win the Premier League at home against Spurs. I hope everybody's in party mood that day, and I hope the players go out there and play with the swagger that they deserve to have. It's kind of like the Declan Rice situation, I think, said Colzer. That, of course, being us as Irish people having to look at Declan Rice, kiss the badge, sing the songs, and then run off to England. Yeah, I get what you mean, but I guess I just didn't give a damn enough about Rice to be that arse, personally, but I do understand where you're coming from on it. David said it's because he's leaving for free, and David is a Scouser. So thank you for that answer, David. Would you want Trent on the parade? Yeah, I think look, as I've said, Trent deserves to be acknowledged for what he's done. And Trent's been part of the team that's going to win the title. So yeah, no problem with him being on the bus. Yeah, no issues with it. I wouldn't play him for the rest of the season, but he's every right to be there celebrating with the rest of the team. But it'd be a weird feeling, like trying to put myself in his shoes. Imagine doing that and being on that bus knowing that you're heading off then. It must be kind of a weird situation. Daza said, Craig, when Robbo was at Dundee United, he signed a new contract to ensure that we got a fee when he went to Hull City, something he didn't have to do. Well, Grealish did the same, I believe, when he was at Villa. Signed a deal that meant Villa was going to get a load of dough when Man City came in. Alexis McAllister did a similar thing at Brighton. If I'm not mistaken, Timo Werner did a similar thing at Leipzig. And none of these boys are born and bred there. So, yeah, when you've got a Scouser who's basically playing the club to let him leave for free, I think that's shitty. And also, I agree with, I think it was Neville that said that Trent's camp would have absolutely known that Real Madrid were putting that January offer at 20 million, whatever it was, in. And that offer and that decision would have been solely so he couldn't say that they left for free. That again makes me feel even more annoyed by it. Now, I hope Trent has a change of heart, and I hope, seeing what it means to everybody and how frustrated everybody is, I hope he changes his heart, but I doubt it. Just got in, is Macca to Madrid gaining steam? Not really. It's more a case of the Madrid mouthpieces are out trying to say, like, he's the one that I want. It was talk that maybe it was going to be Zubimendi. Now all the Madrid mouthpieces are out there saying, well, they want Alexis McAllister. Tough. They're not getting him. And, I feel 100% assured saying that. I'm not saying he'll never leave Liverpool Football Club, but he won't be going anywhere for 2 or 3 years. So Madrid, I can just piss off. And that's me being respectful about it. Like, honestly, the entitled arseholes can do one. Hopefully, Champions League number 7 next season. Yeah, well, that has to be the goal, doesn't it now? Try and retain the Prem and go out there and get number 7 as well. Because this season, I feel like we definitely have some unfinished business with the Champions League. It felt very weird knowing that you won the league format, topped that league with the most consistent team in it, and then go out in the first knockout round. It just felt it felt annoying. And also, I don't know if everybody agrees with me on this or not, I thought Arne was way too complimentary of PSG, almost like he was in awe of how good they were. And look, there's nothing wrong with being respectful. Luis Enrique is a good coach, and nothing wrong with that respect, but I thought he almost spoke like we were underdogs in the game or something. It just didn't quite sit right with me. Klopp and Pep's mutual respect never sat right with me either. I want my manager to be snidey, and I want him to go, yeah, PSG are good, but we're better. This is our gaff. They're a good side, we'll respect them, but we're going to win. We're here to win. Nothing wrong with saying that, in my opinion. Joshua said, from saying he wants to retire at Liverpool and be captain, it really makes you ask what went wrong. Any news on Barella? Asked Jordan. There was something, Jordan. I don't really give it any credibility, to be honest, because well, we're a long way from signing a 28-year-old midfielder, but there was some links to Barella. It's not going to happen. Like, we won't spend that much on somebody of that age. So on the McAllister situation, so I'm going to clarify some of the comments for you. So the father's comments said, amid swirl of speculation, Carlos McAllister, Alexis's father, and a regular sounding board in such affairs offered some perspective. For now, I don't think so about a move like. Time will tell. Alexis is very happy where he is. He lives in Manchester, and on the same block where he lives, Andy Robertson, Joe Gomez, and 4 blocks away, Licha Martinez lives. I'm assuming that's the nickname for Emmy Martinez, is it? There's a calm in those words, no immediate movement, no hidden agendas, just a family grounded in the present with no urgency to chase the shine of the burnabout, at least as of not yet. I agree with that assessment. Still open to a Spanish future is the next heading. McAllister himself hasn't slammed the door on a move abroad, but his honesty hasn't stirred panic either. He said, when asked previously about would he play in La Liga, yes, why not? It's a country I like a lot. I would definitely like to play in Spain one day, but right now I'm very comfortable at Liverpool and I don't think about what might happen in the future. So again, for me, no real panic there. This report from Madrid's own crediting at J. Felix Diaz said Real Madrid are not interested in Martin Zubamendi. They prefer Liverpool's Alexis McAllister. They love him. Tough. Love him from afar. Piece here from Nico Shearer on Darwin Núñez said a Saudi Arabian club has made an approach to Liverpool over the signing of Darwin Núñez. So again, it looks like this one's starting to gather pace. It'd be interesting to see if Núñez is in the matchday squad and if he really was ill, or if now we're just leaving him there until the end of the season to protect him and make sure he gets the move when we get the money. Let's wait and see. But I'm intrigued to see how much we can get for Darwin, in all honesty. Adrian said, Craig, do you think we might be missing a trick if we don't sign Delap? Watched highlights of him and he's a good, well-rounded game. Could he be the next Kane? Mate, I've been saying for a few weeks now, particularly when I found out that it was 30 million was the release clause and not 40 for the relegation, it's absolutely worth a punt. In my head, it makes sense to sell Jota and Darwin and go out there bringing Delap and whoever the first choice other striker was. Because I think it will give us great options for the future, and he's going to be an English international one day as well. So we asked, should we sell Diaz? And we've had 1,000 votes. 63% say no, we shouldn't sell Diaz. So let me ask the same question on Diogo Jota, because we know Darwin's gone, so we can agree on that one. So should we sell Jota? Where's that? There we go. So we'll vote on this one until the stream ends in about 20-25 minutes. Should we sell Jota? Yes or no? For me, I'd sell both of them and I'd keep Diaz because I think Diaz offers a lot more to us. And in some games where you want somebody with his pace to run at, a fullback, great. In other days, you might need Cody Gakpo. Cody Gakpo, I think, is a better finisher and has more end product, but maybe doesn't have a similar level of pace. So I like the options we have on the left. I think it gives us a good variation. So that's why I'm so strong in my belief that selling Jota and Darwin is the best way forward. Muckrab said 13 or 30. Who are we talking about, 13 or 30? Who were we talking about there, mate? Sorry, I'm confused. How many years do you think Diaz has left in him? 4? Maybe more? The lap, sorry. 30. It was thought initially, when it was broken, the story that there was a release clause, it was mentioned at £40 million. But then Sky Sports did a piece, I think it was last week, where they said that the release clause is actually 30 million. JCF 102 said, I think Jota's legs have gone, starting to see the effects of the injuries. I just don't see enough upside of what he brings anymore. So for me, it's an easy upgrade. And that's before we even talk about the injury concerns. And by the way, I haven't been somebody who has not enjoyed Diogo Jota at Liverpool. There have been, he scored some remarkable goals, definitely contributed, definitely been one of our best finishers, but I'm not seeing that this year enough or anywhere near enough. So I certainly hope I'm not coming across as a Jota hater, because I don't mean to be. But I think, again, honesty, reassessment under a new manager, I think that's an area that we can improve in and probably get a realistically good fee as well. So if you sell him for 40 and you brought in Delap for 30, I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer. Why would you want to sell Jota? Well, he's played the last 4 games for us through the start and started, and he's kind of stunk the gaff up. Like, he scored one very, very good goal, and it was a very good goal. But he doesn't have the pace. He can't hold up the ball. He can't run the channels. He can't physically bully a defence. He doesn't have the legs to press. There's just... I'll go back to Dr. Ian Graham. When Dr. Ian Graham and the Liverpool recruitment team were doing their analysis before they bought Diogo Jota, they said that the biggest problem they had when they looked at Jota was figuring out what is he and where does he play in the Liverpool team. And that's a question that I still feel right now, after all the time Diogo was here, is I don't want him to be the starting centre forward, because I don't think he has the attributes we need. I don't mind him coming off the bench, but again, remember what I said at the start of this stream, where when we go into a transfer window, for me the question is, can we improve any particular area, and can we do it and upgrade it at the end of the window? And I would say that would be an upgrade in age, certainly a value deal, and something I think would be worth doing. So that's why for me this is such an easy yes. But it's got nothing to do with anything other than just honesty at this point. And there are players in our squad I feel at this point aren't pulling their weight. And he's one of them. Our team needs more physicality. Yeah, I wouldn't say no to a Rodri style destroyer in the middle of the park, but we know Arna wants a ball player, so I totally understand that as well. Why don't we buy Osimhen? Look, all I can say to you is I'm not a fan of Osimhen, so it's never been a name I wanted, but others think differently. So if you wanted Victor Osimhen, it should be a relatively easy thing to do, because Napoli want to sell him, and quickly. Jonathan David on a free, said Darlia. I mentioned at the start of the stream, my friend, let me just get my notes back for you. There was a report from The Athletic around Jonathan David that said West Ham have held positive talks with the representatives of Jonathan David over a free transfer from Lille. So, and that's not to say we mightn't be interested or mightn't have a conversation, but I'm just trying to show you where the narrative is at the minute around Jonathan David. A couple of things to catch back up on. Demetrius, let me get up your membership comment, sir. And thank you, Demetrius, for being with us as a member. Appreciate you. Said, hi, Craig. Would be cool if you did an adults-only event in Liverpool during the parade to celebrate with the community. Up the Reds. So, I'm already in there the day before. The last day of the season. I'm in Liverpool doing an event. I tend to try to stay away from adult-only events. We've done some in Ireland before, but I don't like making parenting decisions for them. So for me, my son has grown up around swearing in our house. He knows when to swear, when not to swear, and when it's acceptable. So, I don't like to rule anybody out of our shows. And if somebody wants to come along and they're 13, 14, 15 and their parents want to bring them along, I want them to be there, and I want to be able to say hello and thank you for watching. So yeah, that's the sense behind it, really. Rory said 19 league titles but never won in a year ending in a 5. Crazy. I genuinely didn't know that, Rory. There you go. Well, it'll be done this year, won't it? So another thing we can tick off the list, I guess, Rory. But thank you, man. Love those fun little stats like that. Right, I need a little favour. If you can, do drop a like on the stream for me. There's nearly 1,500 people in the chat. Let's try and get the likes up as much as we can. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Right, let me just see if I have anything else in my notes that I've forgotten. There's a news video we have coming out at about 11:15. We're going to be talking about Costas and interest in him. We're going to be speaking about Chris Rigg. We're going to be speaking about... 1 second. We're going to be speaking about Matoma actually as well in that video. So keep an eye out for that one coming out in about half an hour or so. Barry said, I'm going to be slated for this, but I think Joelinton will be a good buy for us. You're not the first person to mention that, believe it or not. I don't think he's good enough with the ball to come and play for us, get the physicality aspect of it. But I think he's suited to Newcastle. I think he just works in their system. Also, by the way, I want to wish Eddie Howe a speedy recovery. So we knew Eddie Howe was missing this weekend. He was in hospital. It was announced that it was because he has pneumonia. So again, from, I guess, all of the Liverpool family and certainly the football family, wishing Eddie Howe a speedy recovery. He always comes across as a class act. Very good coach as well. So hopefully he's back home with his family and back with Newcastle soon. How would you feel about Ravella, Kerkez, Huijsen, Akitika? Don't really know about Ravella. So on that one, not sure. The rest of the names on that list, I'd be pretty happy with. In fact, I think we could see the other 3 names on that list. David Massett said, I would like us to get Ederson from Atalanta. Dude, you know my thoughts on that one. I was screaming out for him last summer. There's been still some vague links, but nothing that makes me feel like it's likely we'll get him. And to be fair, he might be a different type of profile to the type of midfield option that Arne may look at. The one that I find very interesting is Stefan Bajcetic, because I think we need to make a decision on Stefan soon. And I don't want another loan, because he's proven that he can play this season without recurring injuries. And that seemingly to me was part of why he was out on loan. So I think the club should make a decision. If Arne Slot doesn't want to utilise him, I think we should sell. Now, I want to keep him. I like Stefan Bajcetic, but again, I don't want another summer of players just going out on loan again, and on loan again, and on loan again. It doesn't take years and years to look at these guys and see are they going to make it at Liverpool or not. He's had now a good solid. He's already been with us for a while. Now gone out on loan for a while. I think make a decision. Do you think we should start Costas against Leicester? He was solid yesterday. He was definitely better than Robbo was yesterday. I thought we looked worse when Robbo came on. Would I start him against Leicester? Yeah, I probably would, in all honesty. But weirdly, I'll also say to you that he's the one I'd sell over Robbo. Because if we're bringing in a younger player like Kerkez and we can use Robertson sparingly and also to kind of help bring him along, I think that's what I do when we get more money. I think Robbo was 1 year to go as well on his deal. So I agree, man. I thought he was much better than Robbo yesterday, and when we made the change, I thought it was actually to our detriment. Joshua said, is Kumas good enough for us? Don't know. Haven't followed his loan spell. He scored 2 for us in the League Cup last year, right? If my memory's right. But don't know, because I'll be honest, I haven't followed his progress on loan, so really couldn't say. Do you think Chiesa should have more game time? 100% Rory. 100% my friend. I think all of us do. We spoke about Federico last night in the video. There was a link to AC Milan. And apparently there's a valuation of 17 to 22 million pound that Liverpool have on Chiesa. Look, I think it's so straightforward that Arne clearly doesn't want them here. You know, so if he doesn't want them here, what's the point? It's taking up a squad place. It's taking up 7 million quid a year, and it's stopping a lad from playing football. Have I watched Ikitika? I would say I have watched full games 3, little bits and pieces and clips a few bits and pieces, but not enough to say that my opinion holds any weight. Apart from my fat ass weight. But apart from that, no. I think there are others better placed to talk about Ikitika than me. Would I send Rio on loan? Ooh, that's one of the more difficult questions for this summer. I think you will see Rio used in pre-season. After the league is won, I wouldn't at all be surprised to see him get some minutes in the remaining 4 games. And then I think it'll be up to the club and Arne to look at a realistic pathway through and when that time frame may be and how he will come into the team and in what area and at whose expense. So that's a question that I think is a belter of a question, but I don't know what's going to happen with him this summer. I would say he'll be on the pre-season tour anyway. After that, it may be a late decision on what happens with him. Leicester will put up more fight than they have all season this week, probably, but we should still be going there confident to beat them. You know, so and look, we'll know what's happened with Arsenal and Ipswich beforehand because they play in the 2:00 game on Sunday and we're the 4:30 game. So do you think Van Dijk will go in 2027 at the end of his contract? Or do you think he'll leave before? I don't see him leaving before those 2 years are up. Whether he has another year after that, who knows? But I really don't see him leaving within those 2 years now. Do you think we should sign or we will sign Barella from Inter Milan? His age profile makes me think no, Alex. Is he 26, 27 or 28, Barella? I can never remember. But would I have liked him? Yeah, look. A year or two ago, I think every single one of us would have been screaming with excitement over the idea of Barella. But at the moment, I just think he's too old. Lauren, you don't have to apologise for me for having an opinion about Kudus yesterday. My opinion isn't gospel, Lauren. If you and I ever disagree on anything, you know, don't ever feel like you're wrong, I'm right, or anything like that, my friend. I just didn't think he was brilliant yesterday. I do think he's a good player, but please don't ever feel like you need to apologise for an opinion, my friend. It's all good. We're all here to learn from each other, educate each other, and, you know, have a laugh. So, you know, you never offend me, Lauren. Don't worry about that. He's 28. Yeah, too old. You know, you can't be spending the money on a 28-year-old midfielder, especially the money that he would probably cost, which would be significant. Do I like Bino Gittins? I've always said to you that I don't think he's a Liverpool signing because the value won't be there. And what I mean by that is he's so spoken about in the media, hyped up, talked about as a talent for big money that I don't think Liverpool would look at it and see value. And on that, Sky Sports Germany said Borussia Dortmund's price tag for Jamie Gittins is seen as too high from a Liverpool perspective. Any sort of potential deal is expected to be off. So it already looks as if Liverpool have looked at that situation, looked at the valuation and just thought, no, there's not enough value in it. And I understand that. If Ipswich happen to beat Arsenal, do you reckon Slot will change the lineup knowing we could win the league? No. I think he'll be going out with a team that he wants to win the game with anyway. And, he won't want to be giving Arsenal any encouragement. So whatever the team is, I imagine the team will stay that way. Is it wrong that I don't want us to win it this weekend? I want us to win it at Anfield. Is that wrong, or am I being an idiot? I just would prefer it to be done in front of our fans. I mean, and for the people who get to go to that game as well. Like, let's say we beat Leicester. I want it to be won at Anfield. And I want people to be able to enjoy that. And I want, as many Liverpool fans inside the ground as possible for that moment. Yeah, that's what I want. And then I want the guards of honour from your Chelseas and your Arsenals and whatnot. Absolutely win it at Anfield. I'm the same, said Goomy. It would just be more special. If it was done, let's say you beat Spurs at Anfield and that's it. Whistle blows, everybody knows, title's won, and everybody can have that release and everybody can have that ecstatic feeling and buzz and, I was going to say walk home from Anfield, but you'd be floating back from Anfield. So, yeah, do it in the stadium at Anfield, in front of, 61,000. Well, if you'd have Spurs fans there, but you get my point, in front of a packed house. Val said, do you think we should extend Partey's deal or sign Zubimendi? You don't want me to answer that question, Val, because what I think of Arsenal Football Club and the situation with Thomas Partey would get me in trouble. I think it's a fucking disgrace that man's been on a football pitch. Simple as that. And I know many, 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 many journalists feel the same way. And I think, regardless of what the law says or not, lost a lot of respect over that situation. I can't lie about it. It shouldn't be playing. Simple as that for me. Shouldn't have been playing. Rory said, do you think Slot doesn't like Harvey? I mean, I wouldn't go as far as say doesn't like, but maybe doesn't feel he can do the role that Arne wants in that particular position. So, and again, I'm not getting myself in trouble by telling you what happened with unnamed Premier League footballer 29 from Barnet, from the Barnet area. Google it yourself. It's not hard to find out, but I'm not landing myself in a whole lot of legal trouble by talking about it. I wouldn't take SIMONS, said Joseph Purvis. Good player, but better quality and consistency in that position to be found. Understand that, Joseph. Certainly value-wise, seems like he'd be quite expensive. Winning the league is going to remind me of how good of a feeling it is to be a Liverpool fan, a proud red. Yep, it's going to be great, Saif. It's going to be brilliant, and I'm just happy to see the city celebrate it properly. During the COVID time, it was difficult. People weren't allowed out and celebrating it properly. Yeah, this one's going to be special. Neymar said, I think what I want to happen the most is Chiesa and Harvey to get a start and see what happens. If they're crap, and Slot can prove his point, but if they think, but I don't think they will be. In my opinion, Chiesa will cook. Yeah, I agree. Harry said, for the love of God, you are not a journalist. Now, Harry, my little friend, show me where I've ever once said I am. In fact, I go out of my way to say I'm not a journalist, mate, because, I have a backbone for a start. But never said I was a journalist, dickhead. Never once said I was a journalist. If you want to make false claims about me, dickhead, that's on you. But again, never said I was a journalist. Not a journalist by any stretch of the imagination. I go out of my way to say that I'm a fan. But it doesn't mean that I don't have connections. It doesn't mean that I don't talk to journalists. It doesn't mean that I don't have agents that I speak to. It doesn't mean that I live a life that your dumb, sad, pathetic little arse could only dream of, Harry. But hey, that's okay. I also don't go around on other YouTube channels trying to shit on people because I have a sad, miserable existence. And type it in all capitals because I think it makes me look hard. So Harry, go get yourself a life and stop trying to be such a pathetic little troll. I hope you find happiness. I hope one day something clicks in your brain and thinks, rather than try to belittle people, maybe I'll try to inspire people. Maybe I'll try to be better. Maybe I'll try to set an example for the future generations. Maybe do that, Harry, and you'll be a lot happier. So again, not a journalist, don't want to be a journalist, and between you and I, Harry, my grammar's shocking. I couldn't be a journalist because, well, my writing would be awful. Kind of as bad as yours was there, Princess, but again, that's okay. I'm here to do the parenting that seemingly your own fucking parents haven't done. But that's okay, Harry. I'm a community-led person. I'm here to help. Do you think when the Premier League is secure that Slot will play fringe players so he can see who he wants to get rid of and deserves another chance next season? No, I think that should have been done, Liam, honestly. You know, we've had all season for Arne to assess the team. And, you know, he would have made his mind up at this point. Now, another point to this is we don't see what goes on in training all the time as well. So, you know, we often wonder maybe why X, Y, or Z doesn't get a start in the league. But perhaps these players, and again, I'm not trying to label this at any player. I'm talking in hypotheticals. Maybe on the training pitch, the manager's not seeing what he wants there. Right, let's have a look at the poll before we finish up. So we asked the question, wow, this is pretty one-sided. I'll leave it for a couple more minutes. If you haven't voted on this one, please do, because I'd love as much input as possible. You know, me not being a journalist and all. And also, I couldn't be a journalist, Harry, because I don't have the police on speed dial, like unnamed journalist who, you know, likes to call the police when he gets tagged on a post or somebody dares talk about him and disagree with his opinion. You know, I'm probably too thick-skinned to be a journalist, Harry. You know, the police don't know I exist. You know, I don't have them on speed dial. So should we sell Jota is the question. Let me know, yay or nay. Saif said, I've been doing my homework while watching you the entire time. You're a class act, mate. Keep it up, brother. Appreciate you, but, you know, make sure you focus on your homework, Saif. Education's important, bro. But thank you. I do appreciate your support. Have you noticed? Last year wearing New Balance, won the league title. Last year wearing Nike, league title. Didn't cop that, Paolo. Again, I love these weird little stats, my man, so thank you. No, didn't know that, but I love it. I have to say that while we're talking about the two clothing brands, I much prefer New Balance over Nike. But then again, Adidas, the three stripes, the real boys are back in town now, so looking forward to August when all the Adidas gear gets released. David said, Craig, stop letting these assholes get to you. I didn't. Like, don't ever assume that they worry me, man. I like having fun back at them. You know, sometimes I come into a stream and I'm not in a great mood, and idiots like young Harold give me that outlet where I can bury somebody and don't have to do it to somebody I actually respect or whose opinion I care about. So they don't get to me, man. Not one bit. Because I've learned at this point that people make their mind up about you one way or the other, and trying to win them over doesn't make a difference. So they don't bother me, mate. Now, somebody talk about my mother or my dead father and stuff, that shit gets to me. But not little gobshites that form some situation in their mind that doesn't actually exist and then get angry about it. I more feel sorry for them, in all honesty. Am I streaming tomorrow? I am, yes. We aren't going to be streaming on Wednesday night. that's the night I'll take off streaming this week. But absolutely, we'll be here tomorrow. Yeah, we'll be here tomorrow, same time, same place. Mr. Crosby is heading off on a few days vacation, very well deserved. So, yeah, it'll be myself and one of our other team holding down the fort. So, yeah, we will definitely be back tomorrow. I love you guys too much not to be streaming most days of the week. You know that. Like you, I miss when I don't come on. So, look, Craig, why are your matchday chats subscriber only now? They're not, they're member only. And it's because of too many arseholes coming into them. Simple as that, you know. We decided that we want to keep the chat on a matchday at least not toxic, and it was very unfair to people who were coming in to enjoy themselves to see all of these people piling in who don't really form part of our community but just want to come in and be negative or shit on the players. Or so we just decided not having it on a match day, and it's as simple as that. So yeah, that's the reason. I'm happy with the decision. I think it makes the matchday experience better. But as you can see, the chat is back to being open to everybody to come in for all of our other streams. This is just 2 streams a week, basically. The watch along and the match reaction. That's it. Right. Love you guys to bits. Thank you again for a great stream. Let's finish up the Jeu de vote. 81% of the, what was it, over 800 people, 81% said that they would sell Diogo Jota. So thank you all for your input on that one. Really do appreciate it. Keep an eye out in about 20 minutes, 15 minutes for that news video coming out. I'll see you guys tomorrow as well. Same time, same place. Have yourselves a wonderful evening and drop a like for me before you head off. We'll talk then. Bye-bye.